Introduced in 1968 as a replacement for the 400 GT, the Lamborghini Islero remains one of those cars that seem to slip through the cracks of automotive history. It doesn't have the wild, theatrical lines of the Miura, nor the dramatic four-seat proportions of the Espada. It is the kind of car that you might pass by at a vintage concours, only to double back for a second look once you realize what you're seeing. A V12 Lamborghini dressed in a gentleman's suit. The Islero, though understated by Santagata standards, is a machine that encapsulates the essence of a grand touring Lamborghini, and for those who truly know their bulls, it stands among the rarest and most sophisticated creations the company ever produced. The story begins at the 1968 Geneva Motor Show, an era when Lamborghini was riding a wave of creative energy that few automakers could match. The Miura had already turned the supercar world upside down with its mid-engine layout and seductive lines, and the newly unveiled Espada was a futuristic, almost alien-looking four-seater that redefined what a grand tourer could be. In the shadow of these flamboyant stablemates stood the Islero, clean, reserved, and elegant. It was designed not to shock but to charm, not to scream for attention but to command respect quietly. In an era obsessed with flair and extravagance, the Islero offered something that few Lamborghinis ever dared to: restraint. The car's design came from Carrozzeria Marazzi, a small but talented coach builder that took over after the bankruptcy of Touring, the company responsible for the earlier 350 GT and 400 GT. Mario Marazzi and his team carried forward Touring's philosophy of refined proportion and hand-built craftsmanship. The result was a car that felt distinctly Italian but not ostentatious, a machine that could easily stand beside the finest Aston Martins or Ferraris of its day without feeling out of place. The Islero's lines were taut and confident, its glass area generous, its stance subtly muscular. It was more about proportion than aggression. The fenders flowed naturally into the hood, the greenhouse offered excellent visibility, and the detailing around the lights and grille hinted at sophistication rather than sport. Underneath the calm surface, however, was the same beating heart that made Lamborghini famous. The Islero shared its 3.9-liter quad-cam V12 with both the Miura and the Espada, an engine that was by then already becoming legendary. With 6 Weber carburetors feeding it, the engine produced 325 horsepower in its original form, while the later Islero S version pushed output to 350 horses. Those numbers may not sound earth-shattering today, but in 1968 they were the mark of a truly potent GT. The engine sang a complex, metallic symphony that only an Italian 12-cylinder can produce, and when mated to a 5-speed manual transmission, the car could sprint to 60 miles per hour in about 6.2 seconds. Top speed was a remarkable 161 miles per hour, a figure that rivaled or exceeded that of most Ferraris of the era. But the Islero wasn't meant to be just a fast car. It was conceived as a gentleman's express, something that could cross Europe effortlessly, cocooning its occupants in hand-stitched leather while still providing the raw, mechanical joy of a true Lamborghini. Inside, the cabin was understated but beautifully crafted. The dashboard was trimmed in wood veneer, the instruments were large and easy to read, and the seats were supportive yet elegant. Everything about the interior spoke of an Italian sense of occasion, but it did so quietly. Where the Miura made you feel like a movie star, the Islero made you feel like a connoisseur. Unfortunately, that subtlety also proved to be its curse. The late 1960s were not a time for understatement. The world's attention was fixed on cars that made bold visual statements, and compared to the Miura or even the Espada, the Islero seemed too conservative. Critics called it plain or safe, and while its performance and handling earned praise from those who drove it, it failed to ignite the same passion among the buying public. Only 225 examples were built before production ceased in 1969, making it one of the rarest Lamborghinis ever. The short production run also meant that the Islero never had time to evolve in the public imagination. By the time most people became aware of it, the car had already vanished from Lamborghini showrooms. The company was moving on to new projects, and Ferruccio Lamborghini himself was beginning to distance from the business he founded. Yet the Islero remained special for those who understood what it represented, the last of the old-school front-engine V12 Lamborghinis before the company fully embraced the mid-engine era. For collectors today, the Islero occupies a fascinating niche. It's rare enough to be valuable, yet understated enough that only the most discerning enthusiasts seek it out. Since 2015, Classic.com has tracked only 25 public auction sales, an incredibly small number that underscores just how elusive these cars are. Many reside quietly in private collections, surfacing only occasionally for concours events or high-profile auctions. When they do appear, they tend to draw a mix of admiration and curiosity, a reminder of Lamborghini's more refined side. One particular example that has recently captured attention is a 1969 Islero finished in Azzurro Cielo, a pale metallic blue that perfectly complements the car's clean, elegant form. Paired with a cream interior, this Islero exudes sophistication. The combination is rare and refreshing, especially when compared to the louder reds and oranges typical of period Lamborghinis. This car, set to appear at Broad Arrow's 2025 Zurich auction, stands out not only for its condition but also for its provenance. It was originally owned by a member of the Spanish royal family, a fitting association for a car that epitomizes understated aristocracy. According to Lamborghini historian Olivier Nameche, the car was delivered new in Barcelona in April 1969. While records don't specify which member of the royal family took delivery, the ownership alone adds a layer of mystique. From Spain, the car eventually crossed the Atlantic to the United States, where an American collector undertook a meticulous restoration to factory specifications. Every detail was returned to its original state, from the Azzurro Cielo paintwork to the polished trim and cream leather interior. In 2012, the Islero returned to Europe, spending several years with a German enthusiast who appreciated its rarity. Then, in 2017, it joined a Swiss-based collection, where it underwent another comprehensive restoration. Today, it stands as one of the most immaculate examples in existence. A car that embodies both the purity of Lamborghini's early craftsmanship and the elegance of its grand touring ambitions. Only 155 non-S Islros were produced, making this car a particularly desirable piece of Lamborghini history. Its estimated auction price, between 300,000 and 350,000 Swiss francs, or roughly $378,000 to $441,000, reflects that rarity. If it achieves the higher end of that range, it will become one of the most expensive Islros ever sold publicly. In the current collector market, where rarity and provenance often dictate value, this car checks all the right boxes. The Zurich auction itself promises to be a treat for enthusiasts. Alongside the Islero, several other notable Lamborghinis will cross the block. A 1993 Diablo Evolution GTR expected to fetch around $440,000. A 1991 Diablo projected to surpass $480,000. A stunning 2010 Reventon Roadster anticipated to command more than $1.7 million, and a 1967 Miura P400 that could sell for a staggering $2.20 to $2.50 million. Even among such illustrious company, the Islero stands apart. It represents an entirely different philosophy, one that values subtlety over spectacle, craftsmanship over controversy. Driving an Islero today is a rare privilege, and those who have experienced it describe the sensation as deeply rewarding. The car's chassis, refined and composed, was improved over its 400 GT predecessor, offering better handling and ride comfort. The steering is communicative without being harsh, the brakes firm and confident, and the V12 remains a masterpiece of smoothness and sound. Unlike the Miura, which demands constant attention and respect, the Islero feels almost effortless. It's a car designed for long journeys, the kind where the engine's song becomes a companion rather than a challenge. From a design perspective, the Islero's beauty lies in its simplicity. Look closely at the details, the gentle curvature of the fenders, the crisp line along the belt, the subtle recesses around the headlights. Every element has purpose. There's no unnecessary ornamentation, no gimmicks. It's the automotive equivalent of a well-tailored Italian suit. Elegant, timeless, and confident enough not to need to prove anything. That's perhaps why the Islero appeals to a certain type of collector, one who values the story behind the car as much as the badge on its nose. It's also worth noting that the Islero's rarity has insulated it somewhat from the speculative frenzy that surrounds more famous Lamborghinis. While Miuras and Countaches have soared into the multimillion-dollar stratosphere, the Islero remains, relatively speaking, attainable. That's likely to change as awareness grows and collectors seek out lesser-known models with strong historical significance. For now, though, the Islero occupies a sweet spot, a hidden treasure waiting to be appreciated by those who understand what it is. Every once in a while, the automotive world rediscovers a forgotten gem. A car that didn't make headlines in its day but has aged with a quiet dignity that commands admiration decades later. The Islero is such a car. It represents a brief but fascinating chapter in Lamborghini's evolution, a bridge between the early Grand Tours and the dramatic supercars that would define the brand in the 1970s and beyond. It's the car Ferruccio Lamborghini himself preferred to drive, and that fact alone speaks volumes. While others clamored for attention, Ferruccio valued comfort, refinement, and usability. The Islero delivered all three in abundance. As it prepares to roll across the auction stage in Zurich, this 1969 Islero stands as a reminder that not all Lamborghinis were built to shock the world. Some were built to satisfy the soul. Beneath its modest exterior lies everything that made Lamborghini special in the first place: passion, precision, and an uncompromising pursuit of excellence. And for the fortunate bidder who takes it home, the reward will not only be a rare and beautiful car but a tangible piece of automotive art from an era when craftsmanship and character mattered most. The Islero may not have the fame of the Miura or the drama of the Countach, but it carries something equally valuable: authenticity. It's a car that never tried to be anything other than what it was: a refined, powerful, beautifully engineered Grand Tourer for those who appreciate the subtler pleasures of the open road. More than 50 years after its debut, it still exudes the quiet confidence of a true thoroughbred. And perhaps that's the greatest tribute one can give a Lamborghini that dared to whisper in a world obsessed with shouting.